before we get started, I have two questions for you. First question, can you share in the chat what what exciting thing is happening in your life right now? It could be a word, it could be a sentence, it could be anything. So first, I'd like you to share that. And we are, like I said, we are just a small group, so feel free to unmute and speak up as well. I love that Raji says she's learning new things. Yay! I love that. Lots of ideas. Wow, nice. Son hopefully going off to uni. For me, it's like daughters going off to bed right now. Nice, nice. Great. Thank you. I love that, meeting new people through meetups, online and in person too. Love it. Okay, keep it going. I have my second question for you. Show of hands if you want this session to be very interactive and we can role play. If you don't want to role play and you just want it to be like I deliver it, then that's also fine. But I'd like to know based on show of hands. Are there people excited for this, for it to be a role play session? Raji, yes. I will pick on you, Raji.
Am I allowed to raise hands when
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Okay. So I'm getting the sense there's Raji and there's Madhura, but everybody else seem like they just want to listen. So that's fine as well. There's a lot of content, and this is why I wanted to see how I manage the content. And like I think Madhura, for those who are just starting, who are joining now, I'm Rajni Rao, and I'm the co-founder of Women Coding Community. Alongside that, I'm also a principal technologist at Aviva. I work as a fractional CTO for female-founded startups, and I'm a mom of two young girls. I keep saying young, but they're growing up very quickly. It's 5 and 7. And like I said, I'm just hoping they don't waltz in into the room. Let me get started. So today's topic is redefining influence for women. I know that I'm also a mentor, and I mentor a lot of women and men. And mostly when we are mentoring, everybody, talks about how can I get better technically, and things like influence is not covered in your computer science degree if you have a computer science degree background. So it's very important to like talk about influence, because influence is what gets you, even if you're a brilliant engineer in the room, writing elegant code and solving the most complex technical problems. If you can't influence others, your impact will always be limited by what you can build alone. So, and today I'm looking to change that, and we're going to decode influence using research. I will share a neuroscience information, a snippet, and I've used information readily from behavioral scientists, Vanessa Van Edwards, Joe, and many others, Dale Carnegie, so on and so forth. And this is something I've learned with my 25 plus years experience in software engineering. So I speak through experience as well. So we know about the influence gap in tech, but if there are men out there in the group, and for us, and you're not aware of this because you're just broken into tech, let me share a few. So I know that sometimes we feel unseen, and you think, actually, I did better than someone else, but I'm not getting the promotion And I just want to start by saying that you're not imagining this dynamics. There's research backing this, and all the like say for example, um, the likability penalty, the double bind, all of these are based on research. So I want to start by asking how many show of hands, how many of you have suggested a technical approach in a meeting and it had been passed over, and then watched a male colleague suggest the same idea a few minutes later and sudden enthusiasm. Me too, me too. I even had a chat. It's like one on one with my head, like why did that why did that happen with the head of engineering. So I want you to look around and see this is not an individual bad luck. Okay, this is systemic and this is societal, and that's for another day, another talk. But what I'm here to create is that talk about is your brilliant ideas has to shine, and this the situation of like say the double bind where you face the impossible problem where if you're assertive, you get labeled as assertive. And if you're collaborative, you seem like you're not leadership material. And when men succeed, right, they become more likable. But when you succeed, you become less likable, and that's a likable penalty. So if you succeed, people like you less. Then there's the daily tax of you have to like almost prove yourself. You have to reestablish your credibility every new team with your colleagues, and your expertise doesn't really transfer automatically. You also get interrupted 2.8 times more in meetings than male peers, and again this is all stats. So uh, and I think lastly the brilliant but label when they're making decisions for the promotions and who gets promoted, they are talking about yeah, she is brilliant, but yeah, she's aggressive or whatever that comes. So let me show you with a neuroscience fact why about a brain system that every time now, if you know about it, next time this happens, you can say, I understand what's going on. And I think as soon as you understand what's going on, it shifts the way you're going to handle and change your influence. So we're going to talk about the gator brain and the judge brain, right, in very simplistic form. So your brain operates two decision-making systems, right? And this is why it's brilliant, because anything that's really fast, emotional, and instinct, the flight or fight. When there's a predator and your life is at risk, then you're pretty quick in making decision. But there's also what differentiates us from the rest of the animals is we have this prefrontal cortex where we can make rational, deliberate, and slow decisions, which is why we humans at the end of it. There's also the more you use your prefrontal cortex, or I think about like 3 p.m. in the evening, this decision making thing gets exhausted, so you don't end up making good decisions as well. So when you have to have meetings, which is quite important, have it before 3 p.m. So what happens with the gator brain is that it's the limbic system. It's almost like a reptilian brain. So in like seconds, you actually decide whether you trust this person. You make your evaluation. You make everything about them. Like you can spot micro expressions, and you make decisions whether using this person is confident or not, this person is capable or not, whether this person is credible or not. And whilst I was on screen, you were probably making the same decision about me as a speaker. So saying um, so it's the gator brain where the influence happens. Of course, we can use our rational brain to make sure that there are so many things we can do to make sure that we appeal to the other person's gator brain. So the professional reality is if the gator brain says, okay, I trust her, the judge brain will find reasons to make your proposal make sense. So this is why when you go to interviews, they always say the first 7 seconds is very important to set that rapport. What you're doing is appealing to their gator brain. So they will find many reasons to to allow you to win, the interview, to succeed in the interview, and also accept your idea and proposal. So let me show you exactly what happens and why your perfect technical arguments fail. So let's start with describing a scenario, and I bet it's going to be painfully similar, right? You may be familiar with this, and you walk into a technical review meeting with your bulletproof data, and your performance metrics are so solid, and your architectural analysis is thorough, and then your implementation plan is really detailed, and you think, yeah, I've got this. I present everything logically and clearly. But what happens is when you go in, you actually somehow your proposal gets pushed back, questioned, ignored, less prepared. Colleagues seem to be getting their ideas approved easily, and you walk out thinking, what just happened? Like, what am I doing wrong? Um, you know, and you are in this you're having this question. Raise hands if you've been in such a similar situation. I have, for one, uh, case there.
I think absolutely. I would be surprised if no one has been in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? I talk about women because it's tailored for women and how we are, and the societal expectations, perfectionism, society, like our limiting beliefs, our imposter syndrome. I talk from that, but this is actually applicable to everyone, and so my narrative is more towards women and what we can do better. Thank you for that. So so if their gator brain actually decides something feels off, and I think this has happened to you, when where we talk about instinct and gut, there's some gut feeling that, I don't know, their body language, the way they spoke, their pitch, their tone, everything, you don't even know they're making this decision, but their vocal, how they spoke, how they stood, their personality, everything gets into, is like quickly analyzed. And then, yeah, basically the gator brain says, I don't know, I don't trust this person, I don't think it's a good direction, or whatever it is. So I put it like a flow chart here for you. What really happens, so if your influences fail because you might have the perfect logic, but there's a gator resistance that came into picture, and there's a formula for for resistance, and bringing in change. So the gator engagement must come first, and then judge validation. But most of us actually focus on technical competence and technical this, and get a detail. Yes, that's very, very important. But what's more important for you to succeed is also appealing to this gator brain. So we talk about influence, and influence is just like a heavy word. It's a lot of everything, right? Like, it's a bit of everything, like credibility, authority, respect, trust, and everything put together. You can influence someone or not influence someone, right? When I talk about authority, um, authority through power and status is easy. You have that, you can just walk in, you have that authority. But you could also have your personal authority without the roles. So read that as authority. That's your personal authority. And we'll look at today, like, very briefly, in building your trust, your respect, credibility, what they are, and how it goes. So let's start with the credibility, right? So credibility is your technical expertise, and it's your track record, like your computer science degree, your years of experience, and somewhat your visibility also, feeds to the credibility. So your history, right? This is why I say your visibility, because what's your problem solving history, so on and so forth. So that feeds into your credibility. Your authority is your right to be heard. So this is your personal presence and your recognition that you deserve to be listened to. So it's not about your job title again. It's how you show up and how you communicate and how you handle yourself in professional situations. Trust, very important for the gator brain, your reliability and your authenticity. This is your people's confidence in your character and your dependability, how dependable you are, and for them to perceive that, for them to believe actually that you can deliver what you promise and that you're genuine, about your motivations, you don't having any hidden agenda, and that you have integrity in your decisions. And respect is when you have admiration for someone. So like say for example, the ones that you look up to and say, wow, I really love them, that's your respect. And it's based on values and standards, right? It's they value your principles, your quality, your standards, and it has to be consistent, of course, and consistent demonstration of what you stand for. And they don't just admire what you can do. It's not just your technical skills, but also like who you are. And influence is like the authority, it's it's a merge, a powerful merge of all of this. And I think most technical women excel at technical credibility but struggle with like the other aspects of it. I'm not saying everyone, but I think especially, how can we build, how can we show that the credibility through visibility, how can we show turn up with authority, so on and so forth, and how can we actually influence when we are in a team, how can we influence it. So the brilliant news is that authority, trust, respect, they can be systematically developed, right? It's your personality at the end of it, uh, but you can work on it, and your skills with a lot of practice can get you there, and self-reflection as well. So I want you to go through this, whilst I go through this, I want you to look at your personal assessment of where you are strongest, and most of you will almost immediately recognize where you can build this. For me, I already know where I can build my influence, but take a look at it and see where you can build yours, and create the influence that you deserve. So this is about the reality check. So 90% of us think we need more skills. Like I said, I mentor a lot of women and men, and most of them are focusing on their technical skills, better coding, advanced certifications. You often see this. But what we actually need is authority, comfort, and social skills. I will go through it in detail. Comfort is like say, for example, you all turned up today. Are you comfortable to turn on the camera and actually do a role play? You know, so it's that. What's your social skills? Can you network really well? And how do you present yourself? What's your presence? And of course the personal authority. So I'll quickly whiz through some of this. I'm keeping time, check on time. So how do you build credibility? I'll start with how do you build credibility in tech? I know most of us know how to build this, but I quickly want to, for those who are in the process of building this credibility, right? So looking around this room, I know that all of you have built like an impressive technical credibility or planning on building a technical credibility. The women coding community is there for this, and otherwise you wouldn't be here, to learn about the other side, like how do you use your technical capabilities better. So credibility lives in the judge brain territory. So very logical, right? Logical assessment of your capabilities, your track record, your technical knowledge, and that's where most of us shine as engineers, including me too. So you have your deep knowledge in your domains and your front-end frameworks, distributed systems, so on and so forth. And so this is where your technical expertise is. The second part of credibility building is continuous learning. You are, staying current with technology trends. You attend conferences, you read technical blogs, you experiment with new tools, and you understand that tech actually moves really fast, and you keep pace with it. Then you um, then the the um, the other bit is the quality delivery. So when you're at your job, you are able to produce consistent, reliable output with the attention to detail, and you build your track record and credibility. So this is very simple, and most of us know how to do it. And then take that knowledge and expertise and actually knowledge share. So if you are in your team, so you may be mentoring your juniors, maybe sharing the knowledge through like community of practice groups or wherever, however you want to do. So you have your expertise and you do your knowledge sharing, and you are elevating the collective experience of the team and the organization, hence. So your technical foundation is solid. Now let's go and learn the Gator Brain. So the Gator Brain is about building personal authority. So this is about confidence, right? And we all know that confidence, we we know about imposter syndrome, the term imposter syndrome coined, mostly for women, and most 85% of women actually experience imposter syndrome. So how do you build confidence? So if I were to say, treat your self-doubt as a fiction, and focus on, bringing that courage in to, get outside your comfort zone and try that thing. And if you consistently keep trying small bits at a time, take that small steps, and then you keep building on it, before you know it, you actually have that confidence. So I didn't start off with, when I started my career, I can't say I didn't have any self-doubt, but I built all that confidence throughout the years, and so does everything. How you do it, via your technical expertise. Um, you know, the more you mentor people, the more you discuss about it, you get that confidence. So just have that courage to go out of your comfort zone, and yeah, and build your confidence. Don't it is I think it's very overrated. Honestly, for me, I don't really think about confidence. All I think is, okay, if I have to be in a high stake meeting, which I have to, as a principal technologist, as a fractional CTO, when I feel very uncomfortable, I actually like quickly self-evaluate, like, why am I feeling, uncomfortable here, and then work on it. And it has nothing to do with it leads to my confidence, but I'm not focusing on, I want to turn up confident. I go there thinking, okay, I want to contribute, and I want to enjoy, and I want to have a good time, and not feeling pressurized in any way. So one of the important aspects is discipline, right? Like through discipline is where you can build your confidence. If for example, if things are failing in your house, you can't like turn up confidence somewhere else. You could, but there is that element that somewhere, your discipline, if you're a disciplined person, you're going to the gym, you said what, you said, I'm going to do this, and you've done that. And that discipline actually shows in confidence, as well, and building that personal authority. So when you notice people, the ones that have that discipline, you can see there's something, like charismatic about them. So, and discipline is all about prioritizing your future needs over your present comfort, right? Be it the gym, be it anything else. And leadership. So we often think about leadership as, I need a title and I'm going to do this. I will then explore my, exploit my leadership potential. But I'd say, even if you are a junior, even if you are like thinking of getting into tech, start understanding that you have the leadership skills, and start learning. If you start learning how to build your leadership, say when I am with my kids, when I am outside somewhere else, when I'm honing these skills, then naturally when I'm at work in my career, it's going to help. So leadership is a skill. It's not just focused on the on your career. So in when I talk about leadership, I also focus on collective outcomes, right? So when you so it's not about you, it's not about me, it's not about my agenda, my thing. Leadership is about like, hey, this is, you focus on the collective outcome, and then you you look at what is crucial for the organization, what is crucial for the team, and then you will be able to look at some, your leadership. It forces you to like put on some, the leadership cloak and build your skills as you go. And then I'd say gratitude as well is very, very important. Like, you appreciate your journey of getting there, like any learning, anything, just appreciate the journey, not just your destination, because otherwise when you get there, you'll be like, what's next? And you'll never feel happy. So anything that's thrown in your journey, just like appreciate your journey, be grateful about all that you have. And for example, if you're explaining a technical concept you're excited about, then um that authentic passion is magnetic, and people will be able to see that joy. So, and when you do that, people will know that you're engaged and in what you're doing. So one of the things I also do, so this enjoyment that I'm talking about, be present and be, have a passionate engagement. You see that some people have this again, that charisma is a lot of things, but you can see that they are joyous in life, and you think, oh my God, I wish, through induction I can get, and it feels nice to be around them. One of the things I do when I'm moving from meeting to meeting, especially if some meeting goes bad, then I take a few minutes to basically leave and park everything in that meeting there, and not take it personally, and say I'll deal with it later and process it, rather than just have like an emotional, when you hit a problem or something didn't go wrong, we tend to bring that emotional as all, emotions to another meeting. So try and leave it there. When you're talking to your team, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's difficult, and it depends on what grade this is, and you can share so people can also understand. But generally, if you can do that, leave your emotions where it is. You don't need to take it with you everywhere. Leave it at the door of the meetings, so on and so forth, and people see this. So when you have this personal authority, it signals competence to your gator brain, right? So there is authority. So there's competence and there's warmth. And that's charisma, by Vanessa Van Edwards. So most of the times in our career in tech, we talk about, we focus on competence. We want to build competence, and women are perceived to have more warmth. So we want to have a balance of both competence and warmth, and to actually make it work. Either end, if you're too competent, you'll be like, look like, you'll be perceived as a Hitler. But if you are very warm, people will walk all over you. So it has to be a blend. Like any, for example, any of your strengths, right? Take any of your strength. I don't know if people want to rattle off some strengths there. Open, unmute, and speak your strength. Your strength could become your could become very negative when you use it or exploit it more, if you see. So everything in balance. So there's always a spectrum, and everything in balance. And similarly, charisma is all about having the competence and warmth in the right balance. So we spoke about credibility, and very quickly about trust. So trust is also very, very important. So you're sitting there thinking, why do I trust this, trust me that I'm giving this presentation? Or why do you trust someone when you're speaking there? It's when you're speaking to someone, or when you're interviewing, or when you're being interviewed. There's, how do you build this trust? So be genuine. People know when you're not genuine. Like, remember, like, think about those calls that you get. you, or even if it's on the phone and you don't see them, you actually know whether they're genuine, how they're feeling. It all seeps through, even in like in your email, when you're writing emails, your chats, or your phone call. So try and be as authentic as possible, and you don't have to be anybody else. You can just be yourself. Your strengths, your challenges, your learning journey is very unique to yourself. Compare you and the next version of you, not you and someone else. Just make the comparisons to yourself, and your journey is very, very unique. What you don't see what's going on in their life, so you may make an assumption that, oh, everything is, grass is greener on the other side, but it isn't. Everybody has something that they're dealing with. You just don't know. Also, for trust, you need to build reliability. So again, always deliver on what you promise when you promise it, and also your transparency. So um, sometimes, if you share your thinking process and acknowledge uncertainties openly. So like, say for example, I'm talking to someone else and I am not sharing my thinking process, and I'm not transparent. People will sense that pretty quickly. So try and see to what degree you can be transparent, and the transparency will actually increase the trust because you opened up and and showed your intellectual honestly, and be vulnerable as well. Because if you say, I don't know this, I'm learning, or I'm progressing, I'm not, it's okay. So, and if you've made a mistake, don't try and lie to cover up. Admit the mistake, and just move on. And most importantly, show the learning that's come through your one, through that. So for example, I made an assumption about like the database performance, and that turned out to be wrong. And what I've learned from that is this. So you're demonstrating growth at the same time, your growth mindset, and the same time that it's not sitting. You're real and authentic and transparent, and so just try and build that trust. And it comes through being authentic. Every time you're saying, sometimes we will have to self-reflect. I've had times in my life where I've said something and I'm like, oh, why did I say that? And through self reflection, I've worked out how I want to turn up. My values are important to me, and I carry through and build that trust. So, you know, I just want to mention that trust is not the same as being liked. You can be trusted, but it doesn't need to be that you need to be everybody's best friend. So, when I was talking about vulnerability, there's also an aspect of oversharing. Only share when you feel like and what you want to. And trust is about like professional reliability and authentic character, not being universally popular. Yeah. So just a distinction there. 43. Okay. And building respects. I'm going to whiz through this because there's more content, and I want to get to the important ones. So how do you build respect? Respect, you earn people's respect because of alignment, your quality, your standards, your principled decisions, like say, I don't think this is ethical, your technical conviction, even when you're in duress, and you stick to your gun, when you think it's that's the right thing to be doing. You compose presence as well, like you move deliberately, you speak with calm confidence. I'm still working on that. And projecting inner strength and control. um, your growth mindset is also really, really valued. And if you have a growth mindset, that automatically leads to your respect, because people see through your conversations where that's heading to. And also through inclusive leadership, right? You earn respect by including everyone, not by just saying, okay, not them, not this. So I want to quickly speak about composed authority in action. This all comes with practice. So like you just don't like overnight, this doesn't happen, but I'm giving it in here. So I'm sharing this so you can actually purposefully use this next time when you're in your stand-ups, in your meetings, so on and so forth. So first thing, deliberate movement. Move slower than anybody else, all right? Um, like think about all the leaders that you respect and have that authority. They're not rushing, right? They move slower than everybody else. I mean, not within reason, of course. And they project a sense of like calm and composure. Like their emotional intelligence is also on another level, where when shit hits the fan, they're able to like keep themselves grounded, and be in the middle of it all, but still be very unhurried, very thoughtful, and they command the space really. So your speaking pace as well. Similarly, so the pace of your speech impacts how you perceive. So when you have natural pauses in between your thoughts, you, we think, oh my god, I need to go, I need to be bam bam bam, and that's confidence. But actually, when you take pauses, I would have done some role playing, but not today. So when there are like natural pauses between your thoughts, that seems to add more credibility, that signals confidence and gives your word more weight. So it then helps their gator brain, the listener's gator brain, to process what you're saying without feeling rushed. And also use purposeful gestures rather than very jerky or fidgety movements. So keep your gestures controlled, purposeful, like this, that, rather than small, rapid movements that can signal nervousness or a lack of control. I'm already having the stress that I have to complete the talk soon. So if you notice my, quick darting movements, it is from that. Also, the steady eye contact. I think this comes with practice as well. So, when you maintain steady eye contact with people, it doesn't mean you're like just staring into them, like um, a good gaze is enough and to convey your sincerity and your confidence. But if you find people who are not looking at, did anyone ping anything? I heard
I did. I mean, but again, you continue. I just wanted to say something, but go
okay.
ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So I was saying that you're blinking, um, your eye contact, like your darting eye signal or looking down, sometimes get signal anxiety and dishonesty. So your authority then. So you just always think about those people who have this authority when they walk in. They're not darting their eyes. They have that steady gaze, and then they have their conviction and their directness as well. And and also read the blink rates. I mean, sometimes I say all of this, but sometimes people have problems like dry eyes, so they could be blinking more, but don't read into it like they have a problem. It could be something that's also a problem with their eyes. So look at the blinking rate, especially when you are in these meetings and you're watching, strategic meetings and you're watching people. Look at their blink rates. When they're fastly blinking, then it's stress or anxiety. And when they are like having deep engagement or contemplation, you can see that the blinking, slows down. So almost zero blinks. And it's also perception. So when you have sometimes when you have the intense focus and you to take it longer, it could also be taken as aggressive. So you have to be using it carefully as well. So again, anything in extremes can be a problem. Yeah. Did you want to ask a question?
No, actually, I wanted to say something about the steady eye contact.
Yeah.
Regarding that, there is one quick tip that I read somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but if you feel like you're losing focus, if you feel like you're not having contact, just try to focus on your toes, and it sort of brings you down. So especially when I'm having my one-on-ones or a lot of meetings through the day, And then you start losing focus by the time it's ending towards the end of the day. All you have to do is focus on your toes. And I don't know, it naturally brings you down into that place when you're having conversation. Just try it the next time you feel you're losing focus.
Yeah, yeah, and also sometimes if you gaze and if you struggle to actually look into people's eyes, look at in between the eyes. If you focus on it, then you don't feel. But you build this. Like I can look at people now because I've built this yeah I by doing it more and more, I have built this skill. So like I said, you can, some people are natural and really good at that, and some people, especially if you're introvert and your social skills, you need to work on your social skills. um yeah, you will have to, yeah, just practice, and it's not that hard. I for one, I have practiced, and it's possible. So mastering these non-verbal skills, signals actually, will help you project your aura of authority and calm, and that will make you more receptive to, make people more receptive to your ideas, and people will perceive you more like a leader, even in a very high pressure technical discussion. So composed authority, with composed authority, you can actually bring your technical arguments and land more greater impact. I know I was mentoring someone who was in a very senior role, and they were technically competent, but every time they presented their technical solution, it got like vetoed. And I have looked at I've looked at some of the technical content to go through whether I could improve, but actually the technical content was good. But what I noticed when she was presenting it to me is that she could, the tone of the voice, like the pitch, rather than end like a question mark, end it, with confidence, like this is it, rather than this is it. I don't know if you can see the difference. So more than asking it like a question mark, ended low. Um, what did I want to also say? So one of the other tricks is to use your diaphragm to speak rather than just here, because using your diaphragm, then it's more basal, your sound, and it's you will be generating vocal sound that's more that'll be more perceived as someone with competence, and try and make your palm. So if you try practice this after the session, try and record something on your WhatsApp with your hand like that, and then record the same thing with your hand like that, because when you switch your hand like that, you engage your core, and when you engage your core, what comes out is actually very, very different. Is there another thing I heard?
I had a question.
Yeah.
So just out of curiosity, when you said to use the diaphragm when we are talking, just curious if, because usually women have a high pitch and men have a lower pitch.
Yeah.
So is that the reason that we're trying to somewhere match the frequency with the male dominated audience?
I wouldn't. Well, there is that, right? Like because of the gator brain, there is that. But when you use your diaphragm to speak, there's more energy. There's more composure. There's all of that, and you also bring your energy and your passion when you speak. So it's that, and it's also everything else. And if you use this, you engage your core, and when you engage your core, there's more energy when you speak. That's the help. But yeah, for the greater brain, what you said, definitely.
Thank you.
So getting through the different sources of power in tech, right? Your legitimate power. This is the role. Your role gives you the permission to speak authoritatively about technical matters within your domain and use it. Then you have the expert power, right? Your technical skills and your ability to solve problems. This is your capacity to do things. And this is your capacity to debug complex issues, architect systems, optimize performance, whatever that is. So people come to you because you can solve their technical challenges. This is your expert power. There's also referent power, and I'll talk about this in the next few slides. The trust and relationships you've built when people respect your judgment. This is what we spoke about in the previous slides. So when people respect your judgment and want to work with you, that's serious influence currency, right? And this comes through networking as well, and how you you know talk to your team, your cross domain, cross functional teams, and within the industry and different communities, so on and so forth. Reward power, it's your ability to provide value through mentoring, right? Your code reviews, your knowledge sharing, and in tech culture, this builds significant influence capital. So if you know, and so one of the things when I mentor my mentees, I always say that you're learning something, just share this knowledge out there, either like through YouTube, either through writing. Share this knowledge, because that will help you with your visibility, but it's also your reward power as well. And your information power is your access to like data insights and the knowledge that others need. It's rather than, okay, I know about XYZ, you actually have insights. I'll give you an example. So you might have like expert power in, say, React development, and you can build complex interfaces. And you might have information power about user behavior analytics, because you've looked this up, you analyze the data. So you have access to the data showing how users actually interact with those interfaces. So if you see the distinction between information power and expert power. So um, so when you're influencing, try and bring your information that you have along with the expertise as well. And a strategic combination of like all these power sources is great for you to like solve your problems and helps you with your influence. This is my favorite slide, and this was actually I had an idea, a new a new idea. And I was speaking with another leader, a peer of mine, and we were talking, senior leadership. And what was interesting is this is something he actually shared with me. And since then, I've, like dwelled into it, and I've actually used this as well. So if I were to say this in one short word, understand the people that you're communicating with and you're trying to influence. Like say, for example, they always say, right, speak to the child, like at their age, that information is relevant to them. If you're speaking to executives, then speak to them with your with business, with what's it for the business, what's it for the organization, etc., etc. Also, you understand the personality of the team around you and the people you're trying to influence. It's not like one size fits you all. Some people might be really detailed and you want to go give them detailed information, but some people might not want that detail and they want a high level. So you want to understand this. And if I were to categorize them, there'll be acceptance seekers. So they care about like team harmony and the collective benefit, and they want to hear that this approach will strengthen our team dynamics while improving our technical outcomes, right? So if you want to like build your case to push something, then if they are acceptance seekers, then you have to be mindful of how you're going to talk about team dynamics as well. And they need to know the solutions, that these solutions actually bring people together, not creative division. Intelligence seekers they want to feel smart, and they've been like and seen as sophisticated thinkers. So you will respond to them by, like if you're taking your idea, you're like, this is an elegant solution that most people wouldn't think of, or your technical background makes you perfect to evaluate this approach and this value. And so they feel like they are being recognized for their analytical abilities. So so you approach them that way. Then there's approval seekers, and they want acknowledgement for their judgment and their expertise. So you can say, hey, you're really good at seeing the strategic implication, and your experience with the previous things that you've done, whatever your contribution gives you this unique insight. So they need validation for their capabilities as well. And then, so all I'm trying to say, it's the same proposal, but like different appeal. So think about how people work and pitch to them the way it needs to be pitched. So you influence them knowing how they want to take in their information. And this is a loaded slide, and this is how decisions happen. And it's one of my favorite slide, because you use them in negotiation, you use them in like sales, you use them everywhere, and it's nice to know about it. So when someone's doing it to you, or you want to use, I mean, of course, remember about not being manipulative, not being, being authentic. So if you want to use any of these techniques, that will help you. So let's start with rational persuasion, right? This is our comfort zone. Like, we use logic, data, evidence, and based on like performance data, like say microservices will reduce latency by 40%. So this will appeal to the judge brain, and this will be, anybody who is analytical minded engineers and data driven managers. You use rational persuasion. I mean, of course, you can use with other leaders as well, but there's a lot of data and logic there. There's also inspirational appeals. So say, for example, charity, volunteering organizations, and they mostly use the inspirational appeal, but you can also use it, you can connect your technical solution to bigger outcomes, and that feels exciting. And this happens when you're talking about the vision of your organization, the vision of your team, or the vision that you want to create, right? So like, say, imagine our users having seamless experience during peak traffic. So if you want to take a solution, then you use this inspirational achieve, and this will help. Then consultation, right? Make them part of the solution development. What concerns do you have with this architecture? So rather than when you're pitching the idea, try and see if you can bring people along. So consult some of the key people who are going to be in the room, and then make them part of the solution. Go with your problem and see, have them like already, look at the holes, gaping holes or concerns about this, and try and bring them in. So this is very, very essential when you are expecting resistance and a need, and you want to buy. You need a buy-in from your skeptical stakeholders. Is a very good tactic. Then ingratiation is where you acknowledge their expertise genuinely, right? So you actually say, hey, your background in distributed systems makes you perfect to evaluate this approach. And remember, this is not flattery, right? You are really recognizing and you're grateful for their expertise and them contributing, and you are making them feel valued and respected. There's also exchange. This exchange works really well. I've had cases where I've helped out a network engineer, and they have actually helped me when I wanted my systems to go live, to like quickly get stuff done and immediately help me out with urgency through this exchange. So offer mutual value and benefit. So sometimes this exchange is not like instant. Sometimes it could be later on as well when you build with your networking. So if I like, say, for example, one of the example of an exchange is, if I handle this migration complexity, could you prioritize the testing resources, right? Like you exchange, like, I'll do this, and can you do this in return? Like quick, then there's also coalition, which is you build support from others first. So you say, hey, you know what? The security and the DevOps teams have evaluated, and they actually think this approach is great. and they've not, and they are more than happy. So you literally, you're building the social proof here, and you're validating it from your peers, which basically means then you're able to get your support, move your idea further because you've built your social proof. I'm going to ditch pressure, but pressure is good, but use sparingly. So we need to decide by Friday, to meet this launch deadline, so you can create some pressure as well. Legitimating is where you want to connect to some established principles and standards, right? So say, for example, this aligns with our architecture principles or and scalability goals, or you can say this is the standard framework that's used, or this is your etc. So you make your idea saying, right, it is a standard, and hence we are going to like be aligned with that standard. Elicitation and identity first are my tricky but the most favorite if you can get it right. And I so love this because this is what I think we women can practice and be good at. So and I think we also naturally like that because we don't ask direct questions sometimes, right? And so we could use that power we have for elicitation, where you you can say, oh, I heard the team is exploring microservices architecture, and then you bring the curiosity in them by saying something like that. You start by bringing the curiosity. So instead of like direct questions, you force you invite exploration. And this is something we can I can learn a lot. I'm very direct with my questions, and I've been practicing a little more of, rather than being direct, if I want to buy in, how can I you know elicit the buy-in. So something like, okay, I want work from home. So you could say, I want it'll be great if you could trial a work from home period for 3 months. And you have your case, but you can say, I want to bring in a trial. And what happens is they just switch from actually the gate of resistance, to basically saying, okay, I'm more willing now. I'm willing and curious, and want to explore. Identity first is where you get them to agree who they are first before proposing ideas. Like you say, help them see themselves as innovative problem solvers, for example, and then your proposals will feel consistent with their identity. So you say, okay, you're such and such, and you can, and then your proposals will, whatever you propose, it'll feel very consistent with their identity. Again, please do not use this for, don't use it for manipulation. Use it because you're authentic, you're genuine. We want to move the needle, and so you're not you don't have a hidden agenda. You were just trying to look at their identity and make it consistent. So basically, we go past their gator brains. Okay, so what I want you to do is, for your next technical proposal, or whatever proposal you are, map your stakeholders to strategies, which strategy will work. And like, your engineering manager might respond to a rational persuasion based on data. Your product director needs an inspirational appeal, the vision. And if your team's having resistance, you have resistant team members. You can use consultation to bring them on board and bring the change in. So this is like a PCP 3-step process that I use to get technical buy-in, and all of what we've learned will come, will help. So basically, what you want to do is change their perception, right? You want to help them see what's the problem first. So for example, I've noticed our deployment process is taking longer than optimal. You're not being negative, but you're creating like the gator awareness that change might be needed. So you change start by shifting the perception, that and then you shift the context, right? So for example, connect the problem to the current business reality. So you say, okay, given our upcoming product launch timeline now, so you are shifting the context to make sense that why it is the right time, and then you create the permission by saying, um, so so you create permission by saying, like all the techniques that I said. How can you introduce your solution as a possibility? Now, once you've changed the perception, you've set the context, and you try a permission rather than say, hey, can we do this or not? You could say, what if we could reduce the deployment time by a 60%? Right? So that's how you are creating a permission automatically, so they feel curious about the solution rather than defensive. So rather than you meet with this thing, say, how could we reduce the deployment time by 60%? That's an example. So yeah, how do you apply to this work? Like for your architecture changes, tool adoptions, process improvements, try and see if you can have a PCP structure, and then see, and even in interviews, like we talk about car, we talk about star, it's all very, very similar, where it's not the same, but you change the perception, you shift the context, and you automatically make buy in the permission, rather than say, and actually I must say that my 5-year-old is really, really good at the of getting this done. With an example, rather than she'll say, oh, rather than can I buy a teddy bear, she'll say, in order to make memories, I'm just 5-year-old, in order to make memories, and so that I can remember when I grow up, when we are in this Disney world, I want to take a picture with my teddy. So you see how she's bought in, and is it, the buy-in is actually naturally happened because she's weaved a story. So storytelling is also important, and yeah, you just weave it in. So navigating technical, I'm conscious of the time, and do people want to stay? Do they want to continue? And how are people feeling? Let me switch back. How are we? Are we good, everyone?
I think so. Mhm.
Okay. Right. So this is about how we can navigate technical conversations. So one thing I learned as a leader is that influence is one thing, but you will also um, hit blockages in your career where you want to navigate like difficult technical conversations. You want to bring about, you want to remove the conflict, right? Like, and sometimes being okay with conflict is good, but you'll have to maneuver the conversations in such a way that you can yeah, you can bring in the change, and you can bring in what you want as leaders. So first thing I'd say is prepare with empathy, right? Before difficult conversations, like anticipate their reactions, their gated reactions, not just logical objections. You know, what might make them feel defensive, what will help them feel heard. And if you think through, and if you go prepared for these conversations, whether you're doing a technical architecture, or even when when there's a solution and you're getting code reviewed, whatever the conversation be there, and if you have to prepare, please prepare with empathy, and you can then, when this happens, you're preparing yourself for being composed. Remember I said composure is a very, very good thing, and when you're composed, you signal confidence and professionalism, and so try and be prepared for some of these, and your emotional, and build your emotional intelligence as you go. Also, listen actively. I cannot harp enough. I have been on the other end of the spectrum for active listening, but I have been like working on active listening quite a bit, and it really is really worth it. I mean, I think it's the best thing in leadership you can ever do. Or you want anything, like you want authority, you want just to be actively listening to what they're saying, genuinely listening, it shifts the dynamic of relationship and how people perceive you. So, um, and when you're navigating technical conversations, it's the last thing you want to be doing is listening, right? So, like, try and, you know, ask them back, like, help me understand, X, Y, Z. Like, and also, like, try and say that you're gathering the intelligence to make you know, to make their gator feel heard and valued. I know it feels like um, this is manipulation, but it's not. Like when I'm talking to my child, right? And I want to actively listen to her. I really want, this. I feel like I want to throw the towel, but I won't. I will listen to her and then see what's the hidden emotion there, what's the hidden feeling that needs to be, addressed, heard, and valued. And the magic question. So whenever there's resistance, when you go in and it just doesn't work, and you're getting resistance upon resistance for your ideas, your code, it could be anything. What always, and I use this even personally on myself, even if it's not a team, and I'll come to that. So asking, what would it take, right? What would it take to address your concerns while achieving our goals? If someone is resisting, what would it take to do this? And sometimes when I'm sat and I have an issue, like an urgent issue that I'm solving, and I'm stressed, then I take a step back and then just say, what would it take for me to solve this? And then all of a sudden I have, like, my brain giving me, like, okay, I can delegate, I can bring someone in, I can consult with someone, I can do this and this and this, rather than so I use that magic question even for myself. But try and use this with your team, and especially when you're getting the resistance wherever. Try and say, what can we, what would it take, or what, how can we, or that's your magic question. What would it take to get that buy-in? And then co-create for collaboration. So instead of like saying, oh, we need this and this, and you've got the resistance, right? Like, no, then try and see if you can try, use collaboration where you can co-create. What if you combine your approach with this alternative, right? So you bring theirs and you bring yours, and then you make it work. Like, partner with them in that solution development, so they feel like it's also their idea that's being pulled in, and it's not like, they are not your opponents. So try and make it work with both. So so when you are in situations, in and when you want to navigate difficult conversations, I think if you prepare, if you listen actively to them, ask the magic questions, and, like, collaborate, co-create, then I think you'll be really, really great in influencing. And we are coming to the end of this. This is your influence network. I know when I was in my early years of my career, network didn't matter most. But now I think even when you're in your early years of your career, and things have changed, like with social media, it's really, really easy for you to build your network externally. And the way things have shifted is very, very important, the value of your network. So um, you wouldn't build, you want to have, you just don't want to go and randomly network. When I say, why do you want to waste your time and energy? Yeah, feel free to do that, but you want to be very strategic about who you network with, like your leaders and the advocates. Just like we run a book club called we run book club in women coding community, and there was this Never Eat Alone, and they created the a network challenge. If you are there, go to the Slack. But what was interesting about this is like you are deliberate about creating this network rather than, you're putting in effort to create this network. So can you invite like your head of sales for lunch, for example, and have a chat about something? Can you speak to your product this thing to understand a little bit more? So you create these networks, you see who you can help. Does someone need help? So there are your network is built, between like your cross-functional partners, your product, your design, your business team, and internal stakeholders. Then you also have a broader external network like your tech community, women coding community, your industry contact, and public for forum as well. And then you have your internal team and you have your peers. And of course, if you have your leader, then you have your direct reports. So out of all of these, you want to have a percent of this, right? So what you want to have is like, I don't know if you're able to see, your sponsors need to be at least 25%, because there's no point in having a lot of people, a lot of mentors, but no sponsors. So you want some sponsors. And of all, you want your allies, because sometimes your allies could actually, help you get there. When your sponsors, they're asking for like, hey, we're looking for someone for this role, then your allies can actually say, oh, I know such and such who can actually, um, yeah, who can actually help you there. And not just for like promotions, when it comes to like your ideas, like you have to walk into a room and you have to like pitch your solution, pitch your idea, then your allies in the room will make or break the resistance. So this is where, you could talk to some people with your allies, vet some of your ideas. So have more allies, have more sponsors, and then be very strategic. So these are some of the like the numbers that will be great to have, but it doesn't have to look like this. Always definitely have mentors. We run a mentorship program. I could do better at finding mentors as well, but mentors are really, really important. So they really, I know of what changes they have I have provided for my mentees, but at the same time, the mentors I have had and how they've influenced my leadership is great as well. So have mentors as well, and just have some neutral things like a community, um, you know, and you need to have as much as possible. You also need to have some resistors, like I said, conflict. Sometimes um, it's not about keeping everyone happy and like saying, hey, come. You need to have people who challenge you as well, on your board. So to end, uh, your first, if you want to deploy this week, your Gator first operating system to build credibility, authority, trust, and respect. So practice compose authority wherever possible, right? Through presence, how you show up, how you your presence, your movements. Be mindful and prepared. It takes time. Then also use that question, magic question. What would it take? If there's a challenging conversation, just say, what would it take? And then also map your influence network. So if this is very, very important. If you look at the network and see and actually understand people, like how can you influence this person? See all the people. Sometimes people might not have the authority, but will have more influence in your network, in your organization. So look at those as well, and also look at people with authority and try and see how to communicate and build those influential networks. Also, when you're presenting, um, always think about like storytelling and create one leadership story that will hook the gator. So if you always think about their gator brain, that 7 seconds, how can you build that? So one of the things I did from at the start of this presentation is I said, hey, what excites you, right? So I literally It's a hook for the gator. I wasn't manipulating. I was genuinely wanted to know what's exciting. It wasn't manipulated, but I'm just giving an example there. So like try and think about the gator rather than the judge, because we're all great at the judge brain, and this is why we are here. Look at how we can appeal to the gator brain. So gator first, judge second, rather than judge first, gator second. And this is your 30, 60 day, 90-day commitments. If you're ready for this, identify your challenges, right? Like see what is your 3 influence obstacles. Then work on it for the next 30, next 60 days, right? Like practice the techniques. I've given you various bits. Try and see which specific influence method you're going to use. Like be mindful and use it. And then also have an accountability, have your partner come to women coding community. We can have accountability on this, where you can you can talk about how you have gone from those obstacles, how you've influenced and how you changed. And we would love to hear from you. So come back and share with us on our Slack. And also it's an ongoing process, like it's continuous. You only get better and better and better and better, and you will start getting comfortable. When I used to sit in in my sweet seat, or in a row with senior leaders and C-suites, I used to be very like not comfortable. But by working on it, and it surprises me actually. In fact, it's gone the other way, where I just sit and I'm so comfortable, and it surprises me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually enjoying this, rather than me being the nervous wreck. So it's definitely possible. If I can do it, you all can do it. Measure your progress. Be yeah so take it like a project and execute it. So that's it from me. If
Thank
you
you.
have any questions, yeah.
Thanks, Rajni. That was awesome. I think that was lots to take in.
I know.
But I would say at least, I think we have one question. I saw one hand raised. Was there a question? Anybody? I guess not. I think it would be nice to know what is the one thing that you take out of this today's session, and if you would be trying it out, something. It would be just interesting to know if you can pop it into the chat, or if you want to just